Hello, this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. I'm starting my video today with a little confession. I am going on holiday in under a week's time, and I have decided to create videos that will be scheduled for when I'm away. That is my decision and I'm happy with that. But I am a little bit short of time, and also I haven't got a lot of crafting mojo at the moment. Well, I have it in my head, but I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed maybe, so I thought I'd share that with you because you might feel the same. Rather than crafting, I'm binge watching craft videos, which never really helps with my creativity, on the contrary really. But I thought I'd go back to basics, and I'm starting off simple today. This is inspired by a channel called Words and Pictures. This is the lovely Alison, and she creates the most amazing designs, mostly tags, I think. What I've been watching lately, she makes lots of little tags, and I'm just amazed by the colours, and she uses lots of not florals, but plants, even proper dried plants, to enhance her little tags, and I thought I'd just do that. I'm not saying I'm an expert at this. I'm a bit more like I'm delving in like I normally do with my creations. So I have got an A4 sheet of cardstock here. This is my 300 GSM, but this is the batch that's a little bit rougher, but I think that will be fine. And inspired for what I've seen, I'm not following a particular tutorial, but I want to put down some colour and some texture. I'm in no means an expert on mixed media, but I thought I'd just go for this now. I've only got about half an hour to spare, but I think this is fine to leave that panel to dry. I'm going to my local craft group later, and when I come back, I can then do my embellishments, cut this apart, and do what I want to do with this. So because I don't want to do a lot of ink blending on this, I thought I'd just come in with my brayer just to put the ink down. I think I will research it before I post that video. I think this is called a masterboard. So if you work on a large scale to then cut it apart to create tags or cards, that is usually the easier thing to do. And at the moment, I've only chosen two inks to put down. It's the Vintage Photo and the Salvage Patina. I really like the look of these two together, and this is also inspired by Alison. I have got, just here in the back, I have got these bigger ink blending brushes. So if I find this is giving me too much regular texture, obviously I will see the shape of the roller, then I could come in with those, but I really just want to put the ink down. I might come in with a darker blue or whatever, but I just start with these, you know, because they always inspired me and I think they look great together. And I'm not overthinking this. I really just want to go in and create this. I've also got some scrap paper underneath that has been folded, so I might get a little bit of texture of that looking through. So I'm really just inking this up. And I don't mind if I got a mess like that, because when you cut these apart afterwards, you won't see, you know, you don't see the big picture, you just see the smaller areas. So obviously you can see it's mostly the way I'm rolling it. I mostly have got the size of the ink pad on there because I haven't been inking it up properly. So if you do it like that, you could, you know, just keep on rolling rather back and forth like I've just had. But as I said to you, I don't want to overthink it, and I think I'll leave it like this with a salvage patina. And now I want to come in with this. It's one of my first distress oxide. I don't have distress oxides. I don't have many anyway, but I think this is, it's great for all sorts of cards. Great for if you want to create like wood grain, but it's a lovely colour. It's like a sepia colour. So and I hope the camera picks up what I'm doing. So and by overlapping these colours, you get new colours. You get a very interesting sort of green. and this is just great fun. So I think I'm speeding this up. Not much to do, but I'll just try to keep the video a little bit short. Yeah, so as you could see, I went in again because I didn't want to have this sort of checkered look. I wanted to have it a little bit spread out, so I went in sort of across some of these panels. So, but I think I'm definitely going in with another colour. But I don't want to come in with a brayer. I think I will use now my ink blending brushes. So I have chosen the Blue Lagoon. I thought about coming with a dark denim, but this might be too dark. And I think this is worth using when I have cut the panels apart and, you know, for what I want to use them for. So, and I'm just because it's been quite neglected, I'm using this blending brush. I'm giving it a little try here. But yeah, that gives a very soft, smooth look. So really, again, just want to come in randomly. I don't want to cover anything, but here, like where I've got some white spots, I think that will be just nice. Also around the edges, so that I can use the full panel. I haven't thought through completely what else I want to do on this, but I know that in a moment I want to come in with a stencil, or more than one stencil. I'll have a look, because that's what Alison does a lot. Obviously you don't need these ink blending brushes, you can use just your regular ones. It's one of those things, I've seen it, bought it, haven't used it much. Nowadays I'm much more mindful what I buy. But it's great if you want to cover big panels. I'm not even sure these are available anymore now that Craft Stash have more or less closed. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, I'm going to choose some stencils now, and as I will upload that as my Sunday video, I think I will stick with my Lavinia stencils. If I find something else at the moment that inspires me, I don't work for Lavinia, I can use those as well. I have chosen two stencils. This one is by Visible Image, and this one is a Lavinia Stamps one. I thought that this one would actually be lovely as a contrast to anything floral afterwards, so I really like this one here. And this one I thought would be nice. I did not want to choose anything too floral because the florals will be sort of on top, they will be the motif, so I didn't want to overdo that. And as a colour that might go with this but still blend into the background enough, I've chosen the truffle. But I don't want to go all over. I really just want to do some areas of this stencil. So, and again, I'm not overthinking it. I'm just loading up my brush. Normally I would go into the lid, take some ink off, but this time I'll really just go in. And this is all I'm doing. Try not to stay too circular. Sort of go really randomly around this. And even if you feel like you haven't got a lot of ink down, can you see how much ink there actually is? I'm trying to use different parts of the stencil as well, so I don't have the same numbers on all the panels that I'm cutting. So I think I continue this off camera now, and then I'll show you what I do with the second stencil. For the second stencil, I thought I'd come in with some white. I've got this Versa Magic Clout White. It's an archival ink, so it's fairly good in covering it. It's not a completely coverage. I thought about coming in with my solar paste. Is it called solar paste? This the Simon Hurley one. But I'm a bit worried that I can't do any stamping on this afterwards, so I'm just leaving any pastes or any gilding polishes or any heat embossing away from this, but I will definitely do this after I've cut the panels I wanted. So as before, I'm just inking this up with my ink blending brushes. There are other white inks out there. I know there are nice brands in America, but this is the one I could find that sort of works for me. So, and again, I'm trying to avoid the areas where I've got the numbers, so I'm trying to go in between, and I will just put some ink down. You will always pick some ink up from underneath because the ink is water reactive, so you might have to clean your brush afterwards. So, and keep your finger on it, you can lift it up and then you can see if you got anything down there. It's not as visible because some of the areas are quite light, but I'm sticking with it because we're just layering this really. Can even layer up the ink. I'll tell you what I will also try, rather than the white one, is the Lost Shadow. The Lost Shadow is a really light grain. Because it's an oxide, it might actually show up a little bit more than the Cloud White. So again, I'm just choosing, I can even tilt this a little bit, have a different look, and see how that turns out. Very similar look. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. I'm not even sure the camera picks it up. So it does show as very light spots, but it's just a hint of texture. I'm sticking with it, but I'm sure I will definitely come in with some, as I said, with some heat embossing or gilding polishes once I've done my stamping. So I will just complete this now off camera, the stenciling, and then I'm going to my local craft group, and then later I will cut the panels and show you what else I do with these. As usual, I'm popping in again. I thought before I go, and my daylight's gone later, I just want to show you against the light, the Lost Shadow pops up really nicely. So it does make a difference. This is the white and that's the Lost Shadow. So you've got more of a shimmer coverage with that, with the Lost Shadow compared to the white one. But it is there, the colour, and I really like the look of that. So I'm back, and as you can see, I've already cut my large panel into smaller panels. These are for different projects that I will either include in this video or maybe include one project and do the other one next week. I haven't made my mind up yet. It all depends on how long it takes for me to prepare these. I've also cut a leftover piece into this sort of tag, but I already know that I will cut a bigger tag from a different piece just to back this up a little bit and be a bit sturdier if I want to use it as a gift tag. So from my selection of plants, I have chosen these two. This is the field grass and the lavender. I quite like these two together. The lavender is a little bit more solid. If you want a little bit more, the other bulrushes are quite nice. And the field grass is one of my favourite stamps. It always works to fill in the background a little bit. And I just take one of these panels to demonstrate how I'm going to use these. I think I'll use one of the bigger ones here, or wider ones I should say. These are taller but a little bit slimmer. And I have chosen the pine cone to stamp. I think it stands out nicely. It works well with a truffle, but it's not as bold as the black onyx, for example. So, and I think I'm going in actually with a lavender, because I know that I want this to be bold. So, because I've got quite a bit of ink underneath and the white as well, and the soft, what's it called? I've forgotten already. Soft shadow. Is it called soft? Sorry, Lost Shadow. Just keeping it a little bit longer. But I like that. So on the next lot, I'm putting a little bit at an angle, but also trying to get a different sort of angle there, different height. And maybe one a little bit lower. And then this one, I thought either second generation, but I'm just thinking whether I actually want to use a different ink for that. I'll give that a try. I've got the sand dune here, and I'm wondering whether that is actually nice for the background. It might disappear a little bit, but that might be quite a nice effect as well. Yeah, that's quite subtle. I'll just show you that. So not bad, but maybe a little bit too dark. Sorry, too light. Yeah, I think that's getting a little bit lost. So I think I'll go in with some second generation. I've already forgotten what it's called. Pinecone. I think it's this night, time of night that my brain fog sends in. So I'm just stamping this off here on the scrap paper, and then I can go in there. Can you see? I've got a bit of double stamping obviously going on there now. So stamp it off and then come in here. Ooh. Yeah, so that's a little bit more solid. You can just make out the sand dune there. Maybe a little one down at the bottom, although I'm not too bothered because I will now come in with another colour as well. I'll just as well fill it in there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So my idea was to come in with the dark denim and now work along the edges with that. I think the blue would work really nicely with a selvage patina. So I'm inking up my stencil brush, but this time I'm definitely putting in the lid. I don't want anything too strong. And now I'm just coming in on the side, and I just want to darken that a little bit. If I need a little bit more, I just pick it off the lid. And at the beginning it doesn't really seem to make such a difference, but if I just compare it to another one in a moment, you will see that it sort of frames it. Which is really nice, and it sort of, yeah, gives a frame and completes it. And I want to do all these stamping and inking before I come in with my lunar paste in a moment to add some sort of highlights or yeah, really a little bit of sparkle. Obviously you can use this on bigger panels if you want to create a card, but I wanted to make some smaller panels. Can you see? So if I just show you that in comparison again, just with a blank one, I've got quite a bit of a different colour tone. I really like the look of that. So I will be doing this off camera with all my pieces. Maybe I've even varied the design a little bit, but I like the idea of not having to clean too many stamps afterwards. But I want to come in again with my honeycomb here. And as I said, my lunar paste. What I have forgotten is to get my spatula ready. I've just got a little one here. I think this is from the works. I've also got some plastic ones somewhere, but anything is fine really. You can even apply these with a dauber if you got that. And I really don't want too much. Oops, some dry bits coming off. So, and I'll just put the stencil on, and I just really want really random areas, so I'm just putting a little bit through here, trying not to move it, and a little bit on the side. I'm not even attempting to get you know, complete areas, but I don't really want, you know, in the center I don't want any incomplete honeycombs in the center. So, and maybe a little bit at the bottom here without covering too much. So I'm trying to fill that in a little bit and then scrape it off. So if I take it off now, it comes off. Can you see? Maybe not even the best stencil for this technique. I might actually dab the edges a little bit because I don't like these sort of harsh shapes there. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Can move the rest left over on my finger to just dab a little bit around the edges. So probably on the other ones I probably wouldn't put anything in the middle. I think it could rather do a little bit of a frame, and I might even choose a different stencil that has sort of a less obvious pattern. I think that would be nice. So I'm going to clean this stencil actually straight away, because you don't want any lunar paste to stick on that. And as I said, I will create the others off camera, and then I decide whether I make my little projects part of this video or the next one. Here are my finished panels. I have chosen a different stencil for this one here. I'm not sure really I like the gold too much, but I'm leaving that to dry, especially the blob here, and I will use it, but yeah, maybe it's not the right medium for this technique. It's also got a bit bare there, but it doesn't matter. So on these here I've added some bees. This is just a mini bee, and that's one of the bumble chums that I've chopped off, and I just coloured them in with a yellow or orange Kuretake pen, and then I used a blue pen and some white pencil or white what do you call it, pastel crayon on the wings there. So because this still needs to dry, I'm not doing this project in this video, but I will use these today and I'll show you what you make with that. Oh, this one I left blank still because I'll have a think about that, what I want to do with that. My little project for the longer panels is a milk carton style treat box. This is not the fancy one where you actually fold the roof. This is really the easy one, and that's why I like it. It's easy to create. So I've cut from an A4 sheet a piece that, well, I left it at 8 1/4, and then the height is 8 3/4. So I cut it from the 11 7/8 length. So on the 8 1/4 length, we need to score every 2 inches. So 2, 4, and 6, and 8, which leaves us with a 1/4 inch flap here. And then turning it sideways, we need to create a bottom, so we need to score at 2, and then we need to score at 6 1/2, and at 7 3/4. These are my measurements. I've seen it done with different heights, but I thought this was a good height for trees. You can have it shorter, then you don't need the 8 3/4. But as I said, I thought that was a nice measurement, and this is how I created those mats. So I hope the camera picks this up well. Now we need to cut a few things away. So at the bottom, we've got this little flap here that needs to be cut away. Also, I will cut, but I'll show you that in a moment, I will cut at least on 3 of these panels, I will cut a sort of wedge away, but I'll show you that actually in a moment. And then on the top, we cut this rectangle away and this one here. And let me just think, just checking on the side because I've got an example here. Yeah, we need to cut these little ones away as well. So, and I always cut the score lines away as well. Need to make sure that this is neat, because that's what shows at the top. Oh, I forgot. Here we cut into this score line as well. So then we can cut down here all the way straight. We can cut on the score line there. We can also cut on the score line here. And then here we cut the score line away again. So we're cutting on the right hand side of that score line. And then here these can go again with the score line. I hope I'm staying off on camera. So, and here I'm mitering this a little bit as well. Don't have to do that, but it gives a neater finish. Same here, cutting a little bit at an angle. And now I need to concentrate. Yeah, this piece here, the third one or the second one from the left, this will be cut off straight because that will be the last flap. So all the others will be mitered a little bit, and it doesn't even matter how straight that is. So I'm cutting this here at an angle on that score line, and then also at an angle here. I'm not even bothering cutting on the score line. I can cut that away. So when I'm cutting this away here, I can also cut at an angle. Trying to zoom out. So straight again here. And then at an angle here and at an angle here. So can you see? So these all have angles, and this one is straight, and this is how it looks at the top. Yeah, we've cut these two away and these remain. So I'm just getting the scoreboard and my bits and bobs out of the way, and then I'll show you how we fold it and glue it. All these score lines are, or all these folds are mountain folds. So using my bone folder just to reinforce these. I'm using, by the way, I'm using a fairly heavyweight cardstock here. I'd say this is at least a 250 GSM. Unfortunately, it doesn't say on my packaging, but this is definitely a heavier weight one. You don't need a super heavyweight one, but you don't want it to be too flimsy either for a box. So these can be folded over as well. Oops. And then at the top, these are all valley folds, so folded to the inside of the box. So, or rather, if these are mountain folds, then these are mountain folds that way. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So, and these two here, they are folded back again. Don't need to burnish them too much because they will sit at an angle. So I'm just checking on my original whether I cut these in a little bit. Yeah, I think what I did here is cut them in just a little bit so that they don't interfere here too much. But I think we're okay there. So what we need to do now is we fold this in half and we put glue onto the tab here and fold it shut. So ideally you have a quick grab glue, otherwise you'll have to wait too long for this to dry. You could use some tape if you wanted to, but I'm usually not very successful with tape, especially because you don't want this to overhang, you don't want this to be sticky. I find wet glue is much better. So just folding this over and sticking this down. I find with craft cardstock it's a little bit more absorbent than other kinds of cardstock, so need to be a bit more patient with this. So I'm leaving that to dry for a minute or two before I do the rest. Once the side has dried, you can start putting these down, but the one that is still square and hasn't been mitered, that's the last one to go down. So you can fold them in, you know, from the sides first, and then you put glue on there. Don't need too much really. So make sure though you've got it at the right angle. You don't want to distort this. So make sure this one aligns. This here aligns on the other side. So that goes down, and then the last one should cover everything really nicely. So, and you can also push it into the right position so that you've really got a good and square base. And then when you've got it like this, you can go in with your ruler and apply some pressure so that all the panels adhere to each other. So, and then at the top you've got some options how to close this. These will be folded into the middle, and then all you need to do is find a closure for this top here. You can shorten that if you want to, but I quite like this, and I will actually punch 2 holes in that. So I've got my hole punch. I will actually mark where I'm going to punch, and then I will put some twine through there. So I want to put here and here. I'm just eyeballing this, and then I have taken the bottom lid off so I can see where I'm punching this. So and by doing both sides at the same time, you have matching holes, which is quite handy. So this one I have to do from this side. Where are we? There we are. As with every project, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm quite happy with that. And because this will be sort of a natural decoration, so these panels will just be stuck down on here, I will just choose some twine to feed through here. I think I'll do this off camera now, keep this video short, and then just show you the finished box afterwards. So here's my finished box. How cute is that? I'm really pleased with it. I think the colour of the craft cardstock works really nicely with the colours on the panels. So I don't think I gave you the measurements for these. So these panels are 1 3/4 wide, and I made mine 4 inches, but I think you could get away with 4 1/4 because the actual height is here is 4.5. I don't know why I picked 4, but yeah, I think this is really cute. And I just bought lots of boiled sweets to put inside, but it's quite big, so you can even put other things inside, maybe even something that's not edible. Yeah, I think this is really cute. So I keep the other project for next Sunday, and yeah, if you like this idea, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.